Hi, everyone. A very good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us for today's episode of our series, Meet with Digital Thinkers Fireside Chat. As you are aware, we have been bringing to you digital leaders over the last 2 to 3 months, and these are leaders who have been making major transformation in their businesses using technology. So, over the last few years, we have seen the rise of the platform economy, and this was led by businesses realizing the power of digital platforms to reinvent industry models, to win over new customers, and digitally enable people to swap information, assets, opinions, services, content, and ideas. And today, I bring to you one such digital leader who has proven itself in the platform play. Now, when we're talking about platforms, today the platforms are a growing feature of digital competition and the favored operating model, especially for a lot of the digital native companies. Now, digital platforms generate value by bringing together and connecting customers, producers, and providers, or that is the ecosystem partners, facilitating automated interactions and transactions in a multi-sided model to create a network effect. Therefore, needless to say then that much of the success of the platform play depends on the speed, scale, and agility with which it is able to innovate and reconfigure itself to go after new opportunities with apparent shape-shifting ease. Now, the platform economy has really tested the threshold on these key parameters, setting new benchmarks. And for any company hoping to get the platform play right, living up to these benchmarks is no mean task. However, one company has been able to do that, and thanks to cloud. The company that I'm talking about here is Rapido, India's first and largest bike taxi platform. Powered by cloud, Rapido has been able to establish a fast, reliable, and customer-centric service across 100 Indian cities. And in today's episode, we bring to you how Google Maps platform combined with Firebase and Google Cloud Platform are helping power Rapido's robust growth and vision of a platform that is future ready for rapid expansion. And to talk about Rapido's journey, more specifically their cloud journey, I have Rishikesh SR, co-founder Rapido. Rishi, along with his two friends, started Rapido in 2015 with a vision to make everyday intracity travel convenient, affordable, and accessible. Today, Rapido is operational in close to 100 Indian cities. Rishi completed his Bachelor of Engineering from PES University, Bangalore, and soon after founded Instant, India's first IMPS-based wallet service. He has been fundamental in building the technology capabilities of Rapido that has enabled the business to remain agile and smooth functioning throughout the years. So welcome to the episode, Rishikesh, and we really look forward to hearing from you. And to take the discussion forward, I would like to invite Deepak Ajmani, Country Head, Corporate Business, Google Cloud. Deepak is a part of the executive leadership team at Google Cloud India. His team at Google engages with customers and partners to increase market awareness and ensure customer success on Google Cloud. Deepak is an industry veteran with over 22 years of experience in leading and scaling business units at companies such as Oracle and Dell. So Deepak, I hand it over to you. But before that, I would request all the people who have joined us, if you have any questions for Deepak and Rishikesh while the chat is going on, you can drop in the questions, write the questions in the Q&A box, which is in front of you, and we will be taking up the questions later on in the Q&A session. So please do drop in any questions that you have. So Deepak, you can take it forward from here now.
Thank you so much, Shipra. Thanks for the grand introduction, and welcome, Rishi, to the Fireside Chat today. Good afternoon, everybody. It is my pleasure and honor to host Rishi for this series of Meet with Digital Thinkers. And I feel Rishi and Google Cloud have come a long way. So we thought we will share the success story of how Rishi and his team started Rapido, and how did we sort of move forward in the whole cloud journey. How did Google Cloud come about to improve some of the operational metrics, and finally understand from Rishi about the vision going forward. So with that, Rishi, I'm going to fire away my questions to you, and then you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, Thanks,
Sure.
Deepak, and also thanks, Shipra, for the introduction there. So yeah, I think I'm quite glad to share my what is it learnings, as well as the things which worked for us, so that I'll be able to help more people there.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rishi. So tell us about Rapido. How did you get started? And how did it grow into one of India's leading mobile app based two-wheeler taxi services just within 5 years of inception?
Right. So I think, in fact, we haven't started it as Rapido. Frankly, we started it as carrier. We were into logistics. Solving an intra-city logistics space. Right. So moving parcels from one place to another place. But it took a year for us to realize that what the impact what we are creating is not what we have envisioned, and that's where we found this particular opportunity of when we saw that India being the largest two-wheeler market, in spite of that, two-wheeler sharing has been very, very minimal in the country, and we could see the potential of creating so many jobs around across the country, as well as making it more available for the users out there, was the initial thought process. But with the I think with the existing asset utilization, especially in tier 2 and 3 of the country, we came up with a highly scalable model to address the last mile connectivity gaps. Transportation is required in any market, and like Shipra was saying, we are a platform which matches the customer's need of the ride, the captain who is going in that particular way, or is willing to earn some livelihood for himself, right? So in between, we charge a minimal transaction fee there. That's how we operate. And I think more than anything, sticking on to the basics of creating, being a consumer focus, literally, in every feature that we do, or every decision that we take, be that smaller, bigger, I think that's what helped us push this towards being the largest one. And I think currently Rapido is across 100 cities of India with over 15 million customers, and more than 15 lakh active captains there, right? So
Yeah.
I think, yeah, that's the whole story about.
That's very impressive to see the kind of scale and speed that you've undertaken in the market. So, as an aggregator platform, Rishi, these factors, right, the speed, the scale, the accuracy, are very key to your operations. What were the key parameters that you evaluated when choosing the right cloud platform for your growth?
Correct. So I think at the initiation, we had been more frugal in terms of getting things done. Be that going towards free credits like any other person goes, right? So yeah, but with which we landed up being in multiple platforms, right? So we had been following a multi-cloud strategy even when it wasn't needed, right? So but yeah, I think when it comes to the scale of it, that's where reliability aspect, and also security, at the same time keeping our costs down, right? So these were the super important aspects that we looked at. In terms of security, for sure, being the latest entrance into this cloud war, frankly, Google actually extended what they have internally practiced, and extended it to the merchants like us. I think with which it's more automatic than user. Security was more automatic than saying it's as user burden, right? I think that was one of the crucial aspect. And when it comes to price, I think being more transparent, and it's more proactive in terms of what is that, saying, hey, you aren't been using this particular resource from maybe last so many years, why don't you shut it down, right? So such sort of things where startups tend to forget these kind of smaller things when I think these are the small things which keeps our price down as well. On top of that, maybe also another thing that I remember is Google having multi-location data storage. Availability across India in multiple places, and also the nearest one being there are more number of servers which are near to the country, and Rapido being a super high real-time platform where we want to reliability is the name of the game. On top of that, what is that? Latency is takes a more precedence there, because people doesn't wait beyond maybe couple of seconds to choose some other platform, right? So I think we ourselves would be in a hurry to move out of the house, and we tend to choose from different applications to find an exact right. So I think that's where the data center being very close to what we do was super important. And another thing was flexibility there, frankly. So it's more when I say it's flexible, being also a G Suite user as well, it has become the access control is centralized, and I think onboarding is easier, and the knowledge curve of understanding the overall suite is lesser. I think all of these factors, in fact, helped us to make the decision right. Of course, it was quite a process of 4 to 6 months to come back. Yeah, that's the.
I'm really glad that you chose Google Cloud Platform, and I know when we were sort of moving from a multi-cloud to Google Cloud, I saw that you came to the table with the kind of agility and flexibility you were expecting from the platforms. I'm just so glad to see that you're able to extend that in the operations. Now, tell us a little bit more about your Google Maps and Google Cloud Platform experience that helped you to connect drivers and customers in the minimum possible time. If there are some examples of improvements around the key metrics of user experience for our audience, that would be fantastic, Rishi.
Absolutely. So to speak about Google Maps there, right? So I think in terms of POIs, that's what user care about. I think there isn't any other map which is better than Google there. And while that being said, it enables the developers to actually use the same power in our app as well, right? So that was super important for us to make sure that we deliver the right experience, and also have lesser drop-offs, frankly, right? So I think we even here we try to work with multiple ones, but yeah, I think we ended up using more and more of Google, frankly, there. I think it's hard to optimize the mobile application to make sure that every user is every smartphone, be that it's an cutting edge technology smartphone or a basic smartphone, it has to work, right? So I think optimizing that particular Google Map let us optimize that, be that in terms of the experience per se, or in terms of desired feature where optimized routing between the destinations and improve the travel time between the multiple stages of the process. I think that's where we were able to serve more of captains in their own native languages there. On top of that, Google Cloud being the place that we look for. I think complexity in the solution arose from the company's starting point of utilizing the API keys across different environments, right? So that's where we were able to basically make sure that the service was right. And another element of this engagement was the seamless transaction from Google multiple cloud providers to Google, be that in terms of pre-migration, at the time of migration, or post-migration. I think the value that what we have been getting from Google and also the seers whom we had been working with had been great. I think with this, frankly, we could we could make sure our drivers reached our customers faster, and also maybe we were able to achieve the growth of month on month being more than 20% at times, and also tracking the customers with minimal latency and also a more real-time experience for the user. We were able to achieve with these platforms, I would say.
No, it's really awesome to just know about the 20% month-on-month growth, and I'm sure there would have been lean periods as well as some peak periods. So kind of scaling up and down, I think would have been much easier in the cloud platform. Now, with this kind of an app, right? This tremendous amount of data that is coming your way, right? How are you leveraging this data to measure the customer use of the app to offer more personalized services to your customers?
Right. I think I remember Bill Gates' quote here, frankly, data being every person in the company should be able to understand data, right? So I think we tend to follow this from the core aspect. Once we started out scaling beyond couple of cities to tens and tens of cities every week and every month, I think it became more and more important for us to be more closer to the user, right? So there is no other way apart from looking into the data to be closer to the user on scale, correct? So India being a multilingual country and being able to, we being servicing almost 100 cities in the country, we could see that we could create an inclusive experience for everyone using the data analysis, and so maybe to using the data to analyze peak hours for the orders or such trends to optimize our delivery fleet or the captain's availability itself, were the different ways that we chose to. And speaking about the different sort of teams that we had, initially it was more of, things would work in Excel, right? So, what we could intelligently do was to connect our database to an Excel directly, so that everyone in the person has an access to all of the data that's available in the company, right? So, but slowly, as we scaled up our teams, be that from data analysts to having a separate data team of data scientists, particularly, and data engineers crunching the data or making sure we plugging back the data learned into the system in the real time actually helped us, right? So in fact, we have built so many engines as we go through. Maybe a pricing engine where we actually use this data to say what's the right price at right amount of time, at right place, at right so I think we have more number of parameters that comes in when we speak about pricing per se, and maybe we call it as an engagement engine, where we call it as nudge engine, and we actually make sure that we tap into the user at the right time at the right place, right? So say, even as a user, if I give you 100% discount to go from Delhi to Gurgaon, you won't be going, right? So I think tapping onto the user at the right time is more important rather than randomly upselling like we do. So also in terms of dispatch, in fact, matching the customers and the captains in the real time is the core of making sure the service actually is adding the value for the people, right? So I think dispatch is another huge place where we make sure our data service, the intelligence what we build is plugged back in real time, so that we being fair in terms of allocating the orders to everyone and making sure more number of people go from one. We enabling more number of people to travel from one place to other place, right? So I think these are the different aspects where we look into the data and make a decision on the preference of order of requests or fare in terms of dispatching or whatnot.
That's awesome to know, and I think that is what the user stickiness is all about, right? And I think that is what is creating that whole aspect of loyalty, which is important to a customer, to Rapido. Now, if you look at the behavior of the customer, right, it keeps changing rapidly. I'm sure you would have seen this pre-pandemic, during the pandemic, and of course now during the unlock phase. How does Google Cloud help you to change the app behavior and appearance on the fly to stay aligned with the constantly changing expectations of your customers?
Right. So, in terms of your user behavior, for sure, kept changing because cases for a bike taxi has evolved, right? So, which means to say we had to be more agile in terms of adapting to the user's need, or else we would be losing the business, frankly, right? So that's where I think couple of things that what I can actually quote is about maybe if you speak about Google Cloud, Google Cloud's native integration with Kubernetes, right? And the speed with which the open source community actually updates the container orchestration system altogether had played a huge role in terms of adapting to the newer technologies what's out there, and also making sure that the user need is solved by using the same, right? Say for example, today maybe what we are on the way to achieve is, if at all service is down in Gurgaon, there is no need for a service to be disrupted in Bangalore, right? Meaning in terms of if at all there is some sort of production issue, for example, which is almost negligible at the scale what we are operating at with Google services, the reliability of Google services. But yeah, in the worst case, if at all one particular city goes down, there shouldn't be an system where we build a system where we actually take down the other city as well, right? So I think that's where Google Kubernetes helped us, or even in terms of Vision AI, right? So in fact, being a marketplace, it's tough for us to validate what user, if he's the right user who is coming onto the platform. I think that's where Vision AI helped us to facial recognize the people, or to make sure in the COVID world where if he has wore a mask or not, we would be able to detect based upon the Vision AI or the TensorFlow there, or even basically use the same Vision AI to automate our support operations, or reduce the time captain gets onboarded, right? All of his documents like Aadhaar or his RC has to be verified manually, or else we aren't having the genuine person in the system, right? So reducing the time was super crucial so that we scale it up faster. So that's where Vision AI helped us, frankly. And in terms of mobile user experience per se, I think Firebase played a crucial role in terms of doing that. Be that in terms of remote config, where we were able to switch on and switch off users, features on the fly, or even basically making sure that the developers build the feature, or mobile developers themselves come up with ideas and be able to execute them as well. Say for example, in terms of customer and captain chatting with one another, it was entirely done by one particular engineer who doesn't know how to use backend, right? So building a chat platform without knowing backend technologies, I think the Google Cloud's ready to use applications were super helpful, frankly. And I think I can go on in terms of the ways we adopted in terms of the technology, or even nudging the users to download a newer app was also super important to make sure we don't incur the cost. Supporting the older versions, and also Google Play services actually helped us to do a background update, or basically having an update which is for that particular feature alone, we download it and run it. I think there are being frugal as well as being aware of what are the things, that's how the technology is being evolving, is super important to make sure keep our costs low, as well as make sure we and also deliver the customer's experience at the right way. I think both doesn't happen usually with a company, frankly.
No, I'm just so glad to know that you're leveraging all of this technology to solve real world problems. I mean, this use case that you spoke about on Firebase, on Vision AI, I think all of these are so relevant in these times. And I'm just so glad that you were able to leverage the power of the platform to offer a more personalized experience to your customers. Rishi, you spoke about the Kubernetes engine, right? So the Google Kubernetes Engine, it provides agility in the development cycle, brings assurance to the DevOps team, and it can add a lot of efficiency to the testers. Can you elaborate a little bit in terms of how did your team specifically benefit on these lines? Any examples that you could share?
Right. I think when it comes to GKE, I think there are less number of companies who are using GKE on production, and initially we were, of course, skeptical in terms of moving from our existing VMs, disrupting the existing developer workflow, and having a new workflow for him, which a lot of things has been done by default, and there is a common way of handling 300 plus microservices, right? So I think that's where we made use of once we were sure that GK is something promising to see. I mean, for us to actually go ahead and achieve the agility what we had been looking for, and also in terms of aligning the whole of the different developers in the company to one particular workflow, I think both of it were easier to achieve. Say, for example, in fact, we made use of preemptible instances. Being a microservices first company, we have more than 400 microservices, around 400 microservices now. And for every use case, people tend to spin up a new microservice and get things done in the faster way, rather than trying to integrate and losing the time a lot more on holistic integration level, right? So that's where preemptible instances came into picture. In fact, we love using preemptible instances because of course it is cheaper, and also in terms of also it helps us get rid of things when we don't need, correct? So in fact, we created our own tools to make sure that we achieve the near real-time performance of a virtual machine on the preemptible instances. Maybe we'll be open sourcing that soon as well. But yeah, in terms of agility, launching maybe services in weeks during COVID period was only possible because of the agility what we have been equipped with GKE and Google Cloud, right? So in fact, we launched a new service called Rapido Local, and in 3 weeks, at the time of lockdown, we were able to scale it from 0 to 50 cities, and also ideation to launch. I think it took only 3 weeks for us to make sure it was possible, right? And even today, frankly, with what it helps the DevOps team or the whole developers that we have is the courage to deploy in production, right? That's the important thing. Maybe the usual issues like it works on my machine doesn't exist anymore, frankly. And also we are able to have more than 15 releases every day that happens even now, and also have a major release every 2 weeks is what currently we are able to achieve. Hope with more agility, we'll be able to get more faster, frankly.
Really fantastic. I mean, I cannot even tell you how excited I am to just hear that we have GK in production, and clearly there's so much to learn from how you've been able to leverage that power.
In fact,
go ahead.
It actually took us somewhere around 4 to 6 months to migrate come from an multi-cloud platform to an Google Cloud, and from Google Cloud to GKE, right? So I think instead of skipping the step, we took a gradual process because we didn't want to disrupt the business, and also Rapido being available, 24/7 or 20/7 at least for the user. We had very less time to make sure things are possible. I think we are glad that we hardly have had downtime in minutes to make sure all of the things are possible, going from multi-cloud to Google Cloud and Google Cloud to GKE. Today, running 98% of the workload and apps on GKE. I think I would say we are proud of ourselves, frankly, there.
Nice. So are we, and to sort of leverage that flexibility and elasticity of the cloud, I think it can't get better than this, and I'm sure that the audience would love to know more in the Q&A as well. So again, Rishi, going forward, can you share a little bit more about the future roadmap around the app, and what's your vision for rapid growth and expansion? You spoke about multiple cities, but what are the other plans of developing this app further?
Right. So, in fact, Rapido, being the first or very early player in terms of bike taxi, what we envision is to build for Bharat rather than India, right? So, I think India has been solving the need for tier 2 and tier 3 of India, which is more than 70% of India, is super challenging and super fun to work, right? So creating an impact so that basically more and more number of people are able to earn their livelihood because of Rapido. That gives the kick for us, frankly, to make things better for the world. And given our today we stand as the largest, but we envision to be the largest ride-sharing player who is affordable, yet convenient and safe for the users. I think, in fact, even all that COVID did was to help us achieve our vision faster, right? So I think this has, when fisherman can't go fish, I think he can only go and mend his net so that he can fish tomorrow better, right? So that's what we did. And in fact, in the last year or so, we have built services like something like Rapido Corporate, wherein we let the companies tie up with Rapido as a platform and give the employee transportation across hundreds of cities, and something like Rapido Store, where all the small scale industries across India who have been again disrupted due to COVID might not have cannot afford to have a dedicated resource to deliver things on a daily basis. That's where we launched Rapido Store, and we deliver the logistics or the items to their customers, right? So, and in fact, we also went ahead and started Rapido Hire. Now, just not Rapido. You wouldn't be able to just ride only based upon distance, but also time. Maybe if you have a couple of pit stops and maybe shop in between and go back home, we made it possible. Right, so I think we had been working on this particular things, and the latest addition was Rapido Auto, where we see that basically to achieve our goal of affordable at convenient way to commute in India. I think we believe that Rapido is an excellent addition, and we envision to build the future of Indian ecosystem, which is more smart than before, just not showing the hand like this to get onto the platform, which will actually we'll be able to track, we'll be able to exactly specify and also save more time for users, which again is money there.
Just absolutely wonderful to see how you're digitally transforming and disrupting this industry. And really, congratulations, Rishi, to you and your team for having accomplished just so much in the last 5 years. And we are so glad to be your partners in success. Just to recap, Rishi, I think we've had a fantastic discussion, in terms of the kind of growth that you've seen over the last 5 years, your journey from multi-cloud to Google Cloud Platform, how you're leveraging the platform's flexibility, the security and the reliability and elasticity really to sort of meet the diverse needs, and also for giving personalized experiences to your customers. Again, data playing a very important role in multiple languages and again, multiple locations. We feel that we've come a really long way in terms of reaching out to more customers. And like you said, you're building for Bharat, and I think that level of flexibility and the level of technology that you're using is just phenomenal. And really, all of these products that we spoke about, the Rapido Auto, the Rapido Corporate, the Rapido Local, again, with all of these multiple engines running, catering to multiple types of customers and their needs, I'm glad to see that we're able to build for the future. We're able to use technologies like Firebase, able to use technologies like Vision APIs, as well as the Kubernetes Engine to be able to meet the growing requirements of customers. So again, Rishi, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for sharing your experiences with me. I know we've been sort of talking to each other for a while now, but I will wait for the audience to definitely throw some questions at Rishi and me if you have any at all. With that, I'm going to pass this back. Rishi, thank you again. I'm going to pass this back to Shipra to take it away.
Thank you so much, Rishi. While you were, going through the chat, I was not only intrigued by just the platform or the technology base, the technology foundation that you're using, but also, the whole socio-economic impact that Rapido has brought about, for the Indian, for the country, when you're talking about providing employment to people, as well as making commuting more affordable, as well as safe for the people. I think it's a whole level, a new level of impact that we're talking about, and to know that a technology foundation, a technology platform such as cloud has enabled that is really heartening to know. And we really look forward to some of the new things that you're talking about, and how you are going to build new capabilities as well as expand deeper into the Indian market as Bharat, as you point out. So thank you so much, Rishikesh, and thanks, Deepak, for really bringing out the essence of Rapido's cloud journey. And so if there are any questions from our viewers, please do send across those questions, and we will take them up after this presentation. So before we actually move on to the Q&A session, we have one more section. Now, Rishi talked about the whole gamut of capabilities that cloud has enabled. Now, what is really important is a partner that actually handholds you through this journey to ensure that the results that you set out to achieve with cloud are actually achieved, they're maximized, and they're optimized. And to talk about from a partner perspective, I would like to invite Ankit Sinha, Vice President, Cloud Practice and Consulting at Sears. Ankit leads all practices and consulting teams for the APAC region. This includes the cloud, data, AI and ML, work transformation, location intelligence, app modernization, and cloud native app engineering practices. With over 16 years of tech and sales experience at IBM, SAP, Google, and most recently at Paytm, Ankit brings in the best of cloud and business understanding. So over to you, Ankit.
Thanks, Shipra. Deepak, hi, Rishi. Great session. I stopped counting how many things Rapido is going to get into after the first few minutes, but it's really exciting. We love working with companies. It's unimaginable how within a short span of time, how one can really, change the entire market so quickly. What I'll be doing, and I'll be very, very quick. I know that some people will be anxious to get on with their questions to Rishi and Deepak perhaps as well. I'll just run through a few slides, and what I'll do is I'll introduce Sears. we take pride in trying to ensure that we guarantee customer success when people are making their big, bold decisions to move to the cloud. We want to be there, and we try to work very, very closely with the engineering teams, with the product teams, with the IT teams, with the security teams. We want to ensure that the depth and breadth of experience that we have now gathered over the years working with great companies like Google, we can actually translate that to success for all digital native organizations, all traditional enterprise organizations that are really looking at a very, very modern infrastructure. That's a quick engineering blog that you could probably check out for me if you would be interested to know what our work is. Again, Rapido, this has been for us probably one of the fastest growing accounts from just the, as I said, the cross section of services that they've been offering, the speed at which they've been expanding. We definitely keep wishing that Rapido does not stop at building for Bharat, but can go international as well. And the reason I say that is because their entire tech stack is actually ready to go global, and that's what is great about companies that are emerging out of India, that they will definitely be major players to look out. Rishi had been kind enough. Rishi had spoken about what Rapido has been utilizing from the Google stack. Now, the Google stack is interesting. It kind of envelopes and tries to answer a lot of the conversations that people have when it comes to what kind of technology I need from my backend, what kind of technology do I need for my mobile experiences, what would I need from a location perspective with maps, analytics with Google Analytics, and one can keep going on. And we talked about Play today. So what Rishi had done in this nice little blog is articulated the journey. So for those of you who kind of would like to know how different products were being used, it's a nice small blog. And what we want to do through these sessions, and then also through our follow-up conversations, to ensure that there is an engineer to engineer contact, there is help available for anybody who'd like to know what to be done, probably more precisely what not to be done, what not to be tried, so that we can actually be more robust in our approach. Sears has been working with a lot of digital native organizations. And we have also been, because we've been working for the last 15 years in India, we've also acquired a lot of organizations that wanted to digitally transform themselves. BLP is a young little organization that got into the IoT space. There will be lots of familiar names for people from Mumbai with the Hiranandani group, and somebody who's been probably been there in the market for over 100 years, like Kirloskar Group as well. But yes, what we are typically good at doing is to understand how digital native companies think, what is the speed with which they like to work, how quickly they would like to have their turnaround times, whether it be some kind of business topic or sometimes of a technical topic. And we have got over 700 people at Sears. We call them improvers. So we have 700 people who essentially ensure that success is guaranteed when working with these organizations. Slightly dated slide, but yeah. Starting in India, very, very proud again that we were able to take the best of cloud, the best of AI ML, and we tried to ensure that we can go expand into countries outside India as well. Of course, a lot of our success has basically been because we bet on the right partner, and that happened to be Google Cloud. Google Cloud is simply the most open cloud, if I can call it that. Just look at the contributions that they made in Kubernetes, for example, which Rishi spoke about at length. It is perhaps the cloud that keeps security by default, by ensuring things like encryption and all are the default setting and not an optional setting that you need to worry about. Google is also perhaps the most performant cloud. It has services like YouTube, it has services like Gmail. Why would somebody not want to ride on that same infrastructure? And that's where we kind of ensured that if we took the right tech stack, obviously we would have a lot of happy customers that would keep working with us years on end. How does CS work? Complicated little slide, and I'll just draw your attention to few blocks here. What we are very, very keen is to modernize. We try to help you move both mentally as well as on your infrastructure side, whether it be on the applications modernization piece. Would you be looking at new kinds of databases? Would you want to ensure that your analytics teams are kind of empowered so the streaming data sets are available to them, the batch data sets are available to them? And on the infrastructure side, very interesting, and I can only repeat that the PVMs, the preemptible virtual machines, which Rishi again spoke about, you don't need to bid for them. They are just available to you at a fraction of cost. So if you have your applications running in microservices, you would definitely find yourself having very, very lean infrastructure. And that's what we try to ensure through our consulting services, through our management services, through our implementation services, and through our support. We are able to kind of get you to where you would ideally like to be in a very, very realistic time frame. We dedicate a lot of attention on technical account management, whether it be with our customers on the map side or the cloud side or the Firebase side or the workspace side, Google Workspace, which is the new name for G Suite. We also work with companies that are looking at exposing and monetizing their APIs via the industry leader Apigee that you'd see at the bottom. And of course, we would provide the whole stack of services that you would want us to do. So not every customer is the same. Every customer has very, very unique requirements. And we would want to obviously fill in only those places where, let's say, you think it's best to work with a consulting organization like us. So especially for the startup community, we often find out that very difficult to find database administrators because nobody joins a Rapido probably to take up a DB admin job. We would happily take that. So if you would like to go with the managed services from GCP, great. And if you think that we could basically do a little bit extra and manage that database for you, we would be happy to do that as well. Of course, wherever you think that there are cloud native engineering services that you would like to introduce, let's say, okay, how should test cases be run? What should the CI/CD pipeline look like for me with my kind of release cycles? We definitely would like to work with you on any or all topics that would help you get from, as Rapido does it, from point A to point B. I will obviously like to not take too much time because a lot of the meaningful conversations on the DevOps projects, on the data ops projects, on the ML workbench projects, they all are very specific and we would like to take them one-on-one with you. Please call us. You can call me directly or anybody in my team to kind of start having a conversation with a cloud consultant, and whether remotely or in person, as things look like, we definitely get our cloud architects to brainstorm and have a detailed workshop with you. With that, I am kind of done with my presentation. I'm aware I come between the guest and the questions that are waiting, so I like to keep it short. Thank you so much. Back to you, Shipra.
Thank you, Ankit. Yes, of course, we have quite a few questions, and I would like to get started with them as soon as possible. So, Rishikesh, the first question is for you, and it is that mobile apps use Firebase components frequently to get started. So, are your engineers actively using Firebase database or analytics or more?
Right. So, Firebase is, I think we were one of the early customers for Firebase. We started because it was free, frankly, but as we could see the more value being added in terms of, getting in, all of the mundane things which every app developer needs. Firebase intelligently operationalized this and bundled it as one particular package, right? Say. Everyone would need a configuration manager tool. That's where remote config came into place. Or every app would need an internal internal testing that needs to go through before it actually goes into production. That's where Firebase came into scene, and it also we have linked it the CI/CD of Firebase itself, so that we are able to test and basically run the automated test case what we have built for. And also, I think there are more levels of particular use cases what Firebase actually solved us. For example, there is no other system reliably would or in the real time would update you on the uninstall of the application, right? Only with Firebase it's possible, frankly. I think these are the kind of small things that we actually figured to make sure we give the better experience to the customer. Maybe send him an SMS as soon as he uninstalls the app, so that there are higher chances that we get him back, or just send him a push notification to say that, hey, what went wrong with us, or how do you see we could improve, or these kind of surveys, frankly, right? So these are the or even ask him to actually use our web app instead of coming to an application. I think all of these was possible with small nudges which required, and usually it's an it's a sprint task we were able to automate with Firebase. That's what it actually helped us to. The agility comes with Firebase there, frankly, for us.
Thanks, Rishi, for answering that. The next question is for you, Deepak. If you can talk about any use cases similar to Rapido, which are there in the fintech space.
On the fintech space, again, it's a very sort of broad world, and there are several use cases. But let me first begin with what we sort of do with our own dog food, right? We look at GPay. And again, GPay is one of the biggest payment gateways, biggest payment providers in India, and we use our own cloud, right? So to me, that itself is a huge testimony of eating our own dog food. And again, we've also got a very large payment provider in the country who's using a Google Cloud. Then there are these really large financial services companies like L&T Finance. We have ICICI Bank and HDFC Bank. Again, several use cases there for Apigee, for BigQuery, and so on. So we see that a lot in the fintech space. Globally, we've got PayPal, we've got FIS, and a few others. And I'm happy to share some of those names with the audience member. Do reach out. Some references are public, and some are under an NDA. So I'm more than happy to share some more references and the kind of work that we're doing in the fintech space. But all I can say is it's an exciting time. And given that even the fintech space going through a massive digital transformation, pretty similar to what Rapido is doing in their industry, we are now sort of looking at not just kind of looking at the compute and storage, but also several other areas in the data analytics space, in the whole AI ML world, right? That to me is super exciting to see. How can we offer more personalized services to end customers? How can we enable payments? How can we ensure that their data secure, it's again within the country, and so on. So happy to have that detailed conversation around use cases and specific references in the Indian market with the audience member.
Great, thanks, Deepak. The next question is for you, Ankit. What are the parameters that you look at while recommending the Google Cloud Platform to a digital native?
Sure. And if I'm allowed to go a little off script, I think the previous question should also be asked to Rishi if Rapido would be getting into fintech space soon. So
yeah, we already are. We have a Rapido wallet where you can
see. I just took. I was sure about that. Yes, there's definitely a lot of consulting that we try to do in trying to ensure that we can do what's called a detailed discovery of the entire engineering team, where they come from, the existing stack, and ideally where is the product headed. We do not Rishi also mentioned that they did not try to migrate lock, stock, and barrel in one big move from multi-cloud. They went from multi-cloud to a single GCP cloud, probably more on VMs, and then got most of their production environment, almost everything in GK environment. So every customer would like to ensure that their core team's strengths are preserved and their product roadmap is respected. And we also try to ensure that we are working with these companies in the timelines that they like to work with. With most of the digital natives, resources and times is of the utmost essence. So what we have always gotten a pushback is that yes, I would definitely want to be on a Google Cloud. I didn't know of Google Cloud when I started, but I definitely see the merits, but I do not have the bandwidth to probably make changes now. And this is where we kind of bring our professional help to say, okay, if you know the reasons why Google could be a great cloud for you, we will make the how pretty seamless. I mean, let's say if I look at all the SaaS companies that are looking at expanding globally, typically the reason that they like to come to Google Cloud is for Google's nice little networking superiority that they have. When it comes to everybody that is kind of servicing Bharat, as Rishi mentioned, the nice geolocation services and everything around the Android ecosystem with more than 95% market share, those kind of become a draw. So the reasons could be different, and we try to focus on how we can do it seamlessly. Thank you.
Okay. So the next question, Rishikesh, is for you, and it is, what is the DR mechanism that you have adopted?
Sorry, what is the?
What is the DR mechanism?
Disaster recovery, perhaps.
Okay. So new to this terms. So yeah. So for sure, I think we had been a journey of this particular thing, right? So when we were in multi-cloud, it was a nightmare, frankly. To first of all, for any problem, the issue was to figure out if it was because of the cloud provider or because of the internal issue, right? So that's where we started. Maybe because we had been working with multiple clouds, it has been a hassle in the start. But as we went towards, Google Cloud, it became much more easier, frankly. And also, once we came towards GKE, and it was super, it was super operationalized, meaning all the services. At once we used to do this. Even today, all of us staging environments goes down at 12 o'clock and get started at 6 o'clock, right? We don't need to run in the night because nobody would be working. At least I think, we had been trying to optimize things in different ways. I think making sure that we have the flexibility itself actually reduces a lot of this particular disasters, frankly. And more importantly, it's about be able to monitor the things, right? For example, using Stackdriver to make sure what things are going right or not, or having an orchestration engine with Istio to make sure all of our services are up and running, or basically the orchestration is taken care by Istio, so that we need not mend into if what is working fine and what is not, because it's self-healed, right? So I think that's where also given that Google's faster boot time, right? I think this is another thing that I forgot to mention. Frankly, the faster boot time actually helps us in multiple ways, which flex. We are now able to shut down the service in 2 minutes and pull up another service in another 2 minutes, almost very close to real time, right? So all of these helps us reduce the reduce the impact what we'll be able to create. On top of that, given that Google's engines, like we use Kafka there, which is most which is a queuing mechanism, which will make sure that irrespective of service being there or not, the queue being intermittent to make sure it services this request. So I think we had went through multiple iterations of disasters recovery, and frankly speaking, today are with Google Cloud and Kubernetes in place, and a lot more maturity in terms of infrastructure. I think we are close to 5 nines in terms of availability.
Great, thanks Rishi for explaining that. I think that will really answer the question. So I have time to take just one last question before we wrap up. And Ankit, this question is for you. That Rapido seems to have made the decision to move to GCP very early on. What if we are already heavily invested on other cloud providers and cannot move easily now?
Yeah, that's a very valid point. We definitely think that for startups, it's an important decision to make as to which of the cloud providers they would like to bet heavily upon. We have noticed that there are companies that are spending upwards of millions of dollars every year. They have also been migrating to GCP in India. As Deepak said, that there would be some NDA clauses, but there are a lot of these published case studies for very large startups that have achieved scale, and they would think that it's an important spring cleaning exercise. It's Diwali time, definitely something that people should look at to come to a better cloud for reasons that would obviously first of all help in your own housekeeping, trying to get rid of all those microservices which are lying dead, because as I said, the robustness of your application is not when people are afraid of touching the systems, but when they have the peace of mind that even if they touch the systems and they go change things, nothing will break. So with that kind of SLOs, service level objectives, that Google typically talks about, I think it's not a thing to be afraid of. In fact, one should take it more boldly if you are basically not been touching your infrastructure for a very long time.
And just to add to that, Ankit, very, very valid. At least in the last few years, we've seen a huge mindset shift in the ecosystem because of the several things that Google also has to offer, right? So to stay on one infrastructure and then putting the data on another platform, there could be several cost drivers there. So we are seeing a lot of motion in the market about a lift and improve mechanism, not just a lift and shift from one platform to the other. A lot of the digital natives who had adopted cloud earlier because of lack of choice are now looking at improving their architecture. How can they make it more agile? Rishi spoke about faster boots, to make spot instances to kind of have much more cost optimized environments as compared to what was being offered several years ago. And now people are optimizing some of those, right? So have a discussion with Ankit, have a discussion with the Google team, with Rishi, if you like, to learn how we can make that happen. And I'm happy to work with you and your team to do an architectural review and come back with some recommendations.
Just to add in there, when we made our mind to move from our existing existing cloud to Google Cloud, it was maybe one and a half year back, frankly, right? So, and while we have been using Google, but on a full-fledged, maybe from last couple of years, that's what. And by then we were already in somewhere around 50 cities plus, and it wasn't it wasn't early, frankly, right? Which means any sort of disruption, you wouldn't even know that it has been disrupted because it's a marketplace again. So there are two loose ends of being the customer and captain. We don't even know if in one particular region, one particular network, one particular small thing is being is not working as well, right? So I think we had to be super it was super important for us to get this particular thing right. I think, frankly speaking, Sears as well as Google with their I spoke to Deepak multiple times on this, and Google's team had been helpful, and so is the Sears, frankly. So thanks to you guys there.
Thank you so much, Rishi, for your time today. It was awesome hearing you about your plans, and we really look forward to seeing your expansion across Bharat, and as Ankit said, maybe even internationally. You never know, never say never. So wish you all the best for your journey, and it was great listening to how technology, a solid technology foundation built on cloud can really make an impact at such a huge level. So thanks Deepak and Ankit for your time as well, and I want to thank all the viewers who have taken our time today to hear this session. We will bring to you more such digital leaders in the future. For today, we will wrap up and have a great evening and a great day ahead. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Thanks, Shipra.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rishi. Thanks, Ankit.
Thank you,
Bye.
guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.